If Binance collapses, yeah, well, that's a nuclear winter, right? Holy shit.
Willy Woo is an expert on-chain analyst, well respected for his excellent analysis of crypto on-chain activities. With his expertise, he was able to detect that something was wrong with FTX even before it collapsed. In this video, he shares the secret, so watch till the end. Remember to subscribe so you never miss high-level revelations like this. Thank you.
I trade on FTX, right? It's where I like to trade. That I gotta hand it to SBF is that like okay he stole a lot of money that wasn't his, um, but the exchange itself he built a good product. Let's zoom into FTX. This is Bitcoin only right now. You have to go onto CryptoQuant, I think, to get the stable coins. So this is the run on the bank here, right? This is like everyone getting the fuck out, right? But you'll notice that there was also this trend down, and also what the hell happened here, right? I saw this and I thought, is this an error in FTX labeling on Glassnode or something? It just didn't make sense. They'd been building up this stockpile of Bitcoin, as they won more and more trust. This is all of our customer funds on that exchange. And then suddenly, as Three Arrows collapses, 55,000 of their 130,000 Bitcoins got withdrawn, right? And I think SBF said, we're doing a bit of cold storage movement here, nothing to be worried about. No one called them out on it. I thought it was maybe this move to a new labels that were still FTF. You see this sometimes, as you see,
Right,
you
moving
see
from one exchange wallet to another, and nobody knows the
exactly.
new wallet. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right. But Glassnode didn't pick that up, right? They maintained that it went out of the exchange. So no one actually called it out. And after that point, so what happened there, right? Is like, did Alameda need to plug a hole in their books after 3AC collapsed? But after that, look at this. This is like a constant trend downward with Bitcoin reserves. Like the guys that knew that FTX was not good, and there was a constant withdrawal. So as the FUD was happening on Twitter, I was taking a look at this chart, and I'm like, going, this does not look good. I'm like, I think I got all of my stuff out of all my Bitcoins out of FTX, and when they had like 6,400 Bitcoins left, like down in this region here. So anyway, that was that. There was
So
definite
basically,
running.
he lied, said we're just, moving some things to cold storage, but clearly that was their. I mean, now all of the speculation, which seems somewhat clear, is that Alameda blew up, and basically it was probably moving the coins to Alameda or something to try to prop them up.
Yeah, exactly.
The number of Bitcoins held by Binance has risen to over 640,000 after nearly 20,000 were moved from FTX to the exchange in the last 2 days. Since the beginning of 2022, FTX has held 80,000 Bitcoins, whereas of November 8th, it holds 6,000 Bitcoins. No doubt Binance has benefited immensely from the collapse of FTX, so that many people wonder what the intent of CZ is in all of these. Did he expose SBF only because he knew his own exchange Binance was going to benefit from the collapse of FTX? It should be recalled that FTX was Binance's biggest competition, with over 1 million users. Should we not be taking a more critical look into Binance itself too? At the peak of the year, FTX held almost 120,000 Bitcoin and continued to accumulate Bitcoin for the first 4 months of the year. The exchange's Bitcoin holdings have come down steadily since June, when things took a turn for the worse. Just as Willy Woo noted, there were huge withdrawals from the FTX holding wallet before the collapse. Since Bitcoin holdings dropped sharply on November 6th, FTX holds around 6,000 Bitcoins today after a sharp decline on November 6th. One of the early signs of a collapsing exchange is to watch out for on-chain withdrawals. This information is trackable because of how the blockchain provides transparency. The top 10 FTX addresses by withdrawal volume raised one of the earliest red flags. A total of 1.87 billion had been withdrawn from these addresses within 7 days, according to Nansen data. On the company's homepage, Nexo boasts that it has more than 5 million users worldwide and has withdrawn $408 million of Ether from FTX. According to Etherscan, Nexo transferred ETH in large volumes through several transactions, supporting Nansen's data. You can find several Nexo transactions from FTX with at least 4,999 ETH in value. All exchange collapse has been preceded by a bank run, which is huge withdrawals by those privy to the information that the exchange was not in good health. So, what is the current situation with the exchanges that are the biggest now?
And now we were like looking, gee, who, of course we looked at everything else now and all the other exchanges in the industry, and it's like who's good for the money. And immediately we're seeing proof of reserves, Binance start to come out with this. And yeah, I noticed they haven't disclosed the liabilities on their proof of assets. It feels very much like most of this is priced in, unless say Binance blows up. I noticed that Binance, SAFU fund is, it was 1 billion. I think it's about 800 million the last I checked.
Yeah, I think they were saying they were going to push it to 2 billion, but I don't want to be quoted on that. But I know they are looking to increase that.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at it right now, with like 800 million backing $68 billion of assets, and then you take into account, over 40% of it is highly correlated in BNB tokens, and the other bit is, I think 68% is both BNB and BTC. Like if Binance goes under, like there's a major hole in that in their balance sheet. Like their insurance fund is like 68% correlated, being Bitcoin and BNB. So you might say maybe 250, 300 million of it is solid, as in US dollar.
That's nothing.
Right? It's like 50 basis points. It's like 0.5% or less of assets under management is backed by the SAFU fund. So
right. So a Bitcoin crash or somebody targeting BNB in the same way that CZ effectively targeted FTT token could cause a similar situation by that rationale. I mean, I don't think it would. I think they're bigger. And I mean, listen, if that happens now after they've seen it, and he did it basically like was able to send one tweet and do it, you'd have to think they're prepared for something like that.
Well, FTX was a very different kettle of fish, because they pulled all those funds out, and then it was on Alameda's balance sheet, and they had all this leverage secured on FTT token. This would be the case only if Binance collateralized with BNB token, taking huge leverage and risks. They own 40% of the BNB. I don't know what it is actually. They haven't sold their 40% on the creation of that token. So there's a lot of money there that's in BNB tokens that they're sitting on, and obviously they're plugging that into the SAFU fund to give us a psychological sense that it's a big $1 billion. If they're going to bring it to 2 billion, what are they going to fill it with? Is it going to be more of their stockpile of BNB? And so we that's a big question, is like what is actually inside of this stuff. CZ said that they never use BNB to collateralize, but they're definitely using it as collateral inside the SAFU fund. And so
right.
There's
because
stuff
they're not borrowing against it doesn't mean they're not using it, right?
Yeah, it's still collateral, right? It's collateral. It's like in the case of a liability, which is we're going to pay out to people who are losing money on Binance Exchange. That's the collateral that they're going to have to sell. If Binance collapses, that's a nuclear winter, right? Holy shit.
An explanation of Binance's proof of reserve system has been released on the company's new website. Bitcoin reserves are the company's starting point. The reserve ratio of Binance is 101% at the moment. Therefore, all users' balances are covered by Bitcoins. Or are they really covered? 575,742.4228 Bitcoin, worth approximately $9.5 billion, was held by Binance users as of November. The amount of Bitcoins Binance had in its wallets was enough to cover 101% of the funds. Binance would have enough Bitcoin to process all withdrawals if everyone withdraws their Bitcoin at once. But Willy Woo is skeptical about other assets Binance holds and why Binance has not declared its liabilities. Willy Woo is not the only one asking this question. The Kraken CEO, Jesse Powell, says Binance's proof of reserves is meaningless without liabilities. In Powell's view, a complete proof of reserve audit must include the sum of client liabilities, cryptographical proof that each account was included, and signatures that prove the custodian's control. The truth is, there are still a lot of gray areas where a lot could go wrong from the exchange's side, so users should be careful. If you follow crypto news updates, then subscribe to this channel and stay safe.